She hasn't said a word. She hasn't made a move. But something in the way she's acting around you feels different, and you can't quite explain it. Here's the thing most men don't realize. By the time a woman tells you she likes you, her body already told you weeks ago. You just didn't know how to read it. I want you to think about the last woman who made you nervous, the one you kept replaying conversations with in your head, the one you weren't sure about. Now ask yourself, were there moments where something felt just slightly off? Where she did something small that you brushed off, but it stayed in the back of your mind? What if I told you she was practically screaming that she liked you, and you missed every single signal? That ends today. Olivia here. Welcome to HerAlgorithm. And in this video, I'm going to break down 7 hidden signs that a woman secretly likes you. Signs rooted in real female psychology that most men completely overlook. I'm not talking about the obvious stuff like eye contact or smiling. I'm talking about the deep behavioral shifts, the nervous system responses, the involuntary patterns that a woman cannot fake even if she tried. Stay until the end because sign number 7 is the one that will completely change how you read women going forward. Trust me on that. Let's get into it. Sign number 1. She finds low-stakes reasons to initiate contact. She's not going to walk up to you and say, "Hey, I like you." That's not how female attraction works. What she will do is engineer small, deniable reasons to be in your orbit. She sends you a meme. She asks a question she probably already knows the answer to. She replies to your story with something simple, a word, an emoji, a reaction. She mentions something you both talked about weeks ago, casually, like it just came to her. None of these feel like big moves. That's the entire point. Here's the psychology behind it. Women are biologically wired to avoid the pain of direct rejection. Thousands of years of evolution have shaped a strategy where attraction is communicated indirectly, with just enough plausible deniability to protect the ego if the man doesn't respond the way she hoped. So when she reaches out with a low-stakes reason, she's testing the water without fully stepping in. She wants to see how you respond. Are you warm? Are you brief? Do you light up? Or do you treat it like nothing? That little text isn't just a message, it's an invitation. She's handing you an open door without making it look like a door. Now here's what you need to pay close attention to. It's not about any one message, it's about the pattern. One message means nothing. But if she keeps finding those low-stakes reasons, keeps showing up in your space, keeps finding just enough of an excuse to connect, that's not random. That's intentional, even when she tells herself it isn't. And if you respond well, she'll escalate. She'll find bigger reasons. She'll make longer conversations out of nothing. She'll go from one word to paragraphs, from emojis to voice notes, because she's reading your energy and deciding whether it's safe to show more. So the next time a woman finds a tiny, seemingly pointless reason to reach out to you, don't brush it off. Respond with warmth and a little playfulness. Sign number 2. She remembers things you said that you've already forgotten. You mentioned once, casually, that you prefer a certain type of food, or that you had a rough week at work, or that you had a dog growing up. Weeks later, she brings it up out of nowhere. "Hey, how did that thing go?" Or, "Didn't you say you used to do that?" Most men hear that and think nothing of it. She's just being friendly, right? No, she's been holding on to what you said. Here's what's really happening. The human brain does not store everything equally. We remember what we care about. We let go of what doesn't matter. So when a woman recalls the small, random, throwaway details of your conversations, the things you yourself barely remember saying, it means she was paying close attention. And people only pay that level of attention when someone matters to them. This is what psychologists call selective retention. The brain filters information based on emotional significance. She is not writing down everything you say in a notebook. She's just naturally holding on to it because her emotional brain flagged you as important, and so everything you said got stored. Think about it from your own experience. When you like someone, you remember. When someone is just background noise, the details don't stick. She's remembering you. That means you're not background noise to her. There's another layer here that goes even deeper. When she brings up something you said, she's also telling you something without saying it directly. She's saying, I was listening. I was thinking about you. You crossed my mind even when you weren't around. A woman who secretly likes you will carry pieces of your conversations long after they end. She'll think about the things you told her. She'll replay them. She'll connect them to new things she experiences. And eventually, one of those connections will bring you back into the conversation. Pay attention to how much she remembers. It is one of the clearest indicators of how much space you're taking up in her mind. Sign number 3. Her energy changes the moment you enter the space. You walk into the room, and something shifts. She doesn't have to look at you for you to notice it. Maybe her posture adjusts slightly. Maybe her voice goes up a half register when she's talking to someone else. Maybe she suddenly becomes more animated, more expressive, more everything. And it all started the exact second you arrived. She may not even be looking at you, but she is absolutely aware of you. This is the nervous system response, and it is involuntary. When the brain perceives the presence of someone it is attracted to, it immediately triggers a biochemical chain reaction. Dopamine floods the system. Cortisol spikes slightly. Adrenaline creates a subtle alertness. The body essentially goes on a quiet kind of high alert, and all of this happens before a single word is exchanged. The result? Her energy shifts. Her behavior changes. She becomes more alive without fully understanding why. This is exactly what I talked about in a past video. The way a man's presence alone can disrupt a woman's nervous system before he even opens his mouth. The same principle applies in reverse. When she likes you, your presence alone disrupts hers. And here's the detail that most men miss completely. She often won't look directly at you right away. In fact, women who feel the most will sometimes look the least, at least at first, because the feeling is intense enough to make direct eye contact feel exposing. So instead, she becomes more of everything else, louder, more playful, more engaging with the people around her, as a way of releasing the energy that just spiked inside of her. Watch for the contrast. Who was she before you walked in? What changed the moment you arrived? If the answer is everything, even though she wasn't looking at you, then she felt you. And feeling is always the first step towards something more. Sign number 4. She gets slightly nervous around you in very specific ways. This one is subtle, and if you're not paying attention, you'll misread it entirely. When a woman secretly likes a man, she often doesn't become more confident around him. She becomes less, but not in a weak way, in a very specific, biologically driven way. She might stumble slightly over her words mid-sentence. She might laugh at something that wasn't that funny just because the tension needed somewhere to go. She might reach up and touch her hair, adjust her clothes, or run her fingers along the side of her neck, not because anything needs fixing, but because her body is self-soothing. These are what behavioral scientists call pacifying gestures. When the nervous system gets flooded with emotional stimulation, whether it's excitement, anxiety, or attraction, the body instinctively reaches for self-soothing behaviors to regulate itself. Touching the neck, which is rich in nerve endings, playing with jewelry, adjusting clothing that didn't need adjusting. She's not doing this on purpose. That is the key. You cannot fake a nervous system response. You cannot train yourself to unconsciously touch your neck or lose your train of thought in exactly the right moments. These behaviors are the body's honest reaction to an emotional surge she didn't fully plan for. Here's the important distinction. Not every nervous woman likes you. But a woman who is calm everywhere else and only gets nervous around you specifically, that's signal. Nervousness without context is just anxiety. Nervousness that appears only in your presence is attraction. Watch for it the next time you're near her. Does she suddenly become a slightly clumsy, slightly over-laughing, slightly adjusting version of herself? Does she seem more composed when you're not around, and subtly less composed when you are? That contrast is your answer. Sign number 5. She mirrors your behavior, your energy, and sometimes even your words. Watch what happens when she's around you. Watch how she sits, how she holds her drink, how she laughs, how she phrases things. There's a good chance she's mirroring you, and she has absolutely no idea she's doing it. Mirroring is one of the most well-researched phenomena in social psychology. The brain does it automatically when it feels connected to someone. It's sometimes called the chameleon effect, the natural tendency to unconsciously mimic the posture, gestures, tone, and speech patterns of the person you feel drawn to. It's the brain's way of building rapport without language. It says, "I'm aligned with you. I feel connected to you. I want to match your energy because matching it feels right." And here's what makes this sign so powerful. It's completely involuntary. You can't fake unconscious mirroring. A woman might decide to wear a certain outfit or ask a certain question on purpose, but she cannot decide to unconsciously cross her arms the same way you do, or adopt the same phrasing you use, or lean in the same direction you lean, without genuinely feeling connected to you. If she repeats words you use, even casually in normal conversation, that's mirroring. If she laughs when you laugh, even if she didn't fully catch the joke, that's mirroring. If she adjusts her posture to match yours without being prompted, that is her nervous system communicating attraction through physical language. Start noticing how much of yourself you see reflected back when she's around you. Because the more she mirrors, the more deeply she's being pulled in. Sign number 6. She treats you differently from every other man in the room. This is the one that men most often rationalize away. They think, she's just friendly. She's like that with everyone. Because she just gave you something she doesn't give to just any man. Sometimes that's true. But when a woman secretly likes you, there's a distinction in how she engages with you versus how she engages with the rest of the world. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. The eye contact lasts a half-second longer. The smile that follows your joke reaches her eyes in a way it doesn't for everyone else's jokes. She asks you follow-up questions she doesn't ask other people. She leans toward you slightly when the group is talking, even when you're not the one speaking. She tracks you. Even in a group setting, she's peripherally aware of where you are, what you're doing, what you're reacting to. This is called selective social investment, and it's one of the most reliable indicators of genuine attraction. People don't give their best emotional energy to everyone. That energy is finite and precious. Where a woman directs her most focused, most engaged, most alive attention, that's where her real interest lives. Now here's a nuance you need to hold on to. Women who like a man sometimes do the opposite temporarily. They become deliberately less warm to avoid being obvious. They'll laugh a little louder with someone else or seem very engaged in a conversation across the room because they don't want to look too interested in you. But even this behavior reveals the same thing. She's managing how she appears around you. And people only manage appearances when something matters to them. Indifference requires no performance. Whether she's giving you more or carefully withholding, the common thread is that you are the one her behavior is calibrating around. That calibration is the signal. Sign number 7. She creates situations where something can just happen. This is the deepest sign, and it is the one most men completely misinterpret as coincidence. She positions herself near you at the party. Not right next to you, but close enough. She suggests a plan that happens to involve the two of you being in the same place. She happens to need help with something you're good at. She creates moments of proximity that give the universe just enough room for something to occur naturally between you. This is called proximity priming, and it is deliberate, even when she tells herself it isn't. Here's the psychology. Women who feel attraction almost never make a direct move. Direct moves carry direct risk. But proximity? Proximity is elegant. It says, "Here I am," without ever having to say it out loud. It places her in your field, makes interaction possible, and leaves the actual move, the verbal acknowledgement, the invitation, the moment of connection, entirely in your hands. She's essentially handing you the setup and waiting to see if you're sharp enough to take it. This is what I mentioned in an earlier video when talking about female signaling strategies. A woman who moves through her day completely ignoring your existence is a woman who is not interested. But a woman who keeps showing up in your orbit, who keeps being in the right place at the right time, that is not coincidence. That is intention wearing the costume of coincidence. And here's the most important thing I'll say in this entire video. A woman who has engineered proximity, who has placed herself near you and created the conditions for something to happen, is waiting for you to lead. Not to be aggressive, not to force anything, but to be aware enough to recognize the setup she built and confident enough to step into it. Most men miss this because they're either too anxious to act or too unaware to even notice. The men who do notice, the men who read the setup and respond with calm, confident ease, those are the men who win without ever having to chase. Let's pull this all together. 7 signs. She reaches out with low-stakes reasons. She remembers the things you've forgotten. Her energy shifts the second you arrive. She gets nervous in very specific, involuntary ways. She mirrors your movements without realizing it. She treats you differently from everyone else in the room. And she creates situations where something can just happen. None of these are accidents. None of them are just friendly. Each one is her nervous system speaking a language that most men were never taught to hear. And that's the real problem, isn't it? It's not that women don't show interest. They show it constantly. They show it through their body, their behavior, their attention, their proximity. But if you don't know the language, you'll stand there thinking she's indifferent while she's practically begging you to notice her. The men who understand this, they don't chase. They don't over-explain themselves. They don't send 10 messages hoping something lands. They simply become better at reading the room, and then they respond with presence, not desperation. If this video helped you see something you've been missing, I want you to watch this one next. Because understanding the signs is one thing. Knowing how to respond to them without destroying the attraction in the process, that is a completely different skill. And that's exactly what we break down in that video. Olivia here. Smash that like button, subscribe if you're new, and I will catch you in the next one. Cheers!